Now lentils are used in Indian food a lot. It's called dal, D-A-H-L. And so anytime you see an Indian recipe with dal in it, it just means lentils. And so there's lots of different kinds. There's red, yellow, brown, little French green ones. There's tons of different kinds of lentils. So you've got a lot of variety to work with. Today we're going to use some red lentils. And what these do is they, when you combine them with rice or whole grain, a lot of, I think it's pronounced chapati or naan or whole grain bread, what that does is it makes the complete protein by combining the proteins in the dal with the proteins in the grain. It's also very filling. It can be used as a meat substitute, so if you're going vegan, then that's a good way to do it. Now, again, I've pre-cooked a lot of these ingredients so it'll go faster. If you don't want to go to the store and buy individual spices, the reason I'm doing this recipe is because it comes in a box and it's really cheap. It's $1.79 for this box of spices, and this is the one that's used to make lentils. So on the box it says Arhar Dal Masala, and I probably didn't pronounce that right, but the masala means spice and the dal is the lentils, and I'm assuming the other word means what kind of dal it is, okay? So you can just buy a box of this. Now the advantage is you can just buy one box of seasoning and flavor your stuff with it. The disadvantage is, like for instance, this one's pretty spicy and I like my food less spicy. So if you're using your own spices, you can control the amount of spice and the amount of flavor. This one's really hot and spicy, so because I bought the packaged one, you can't really control that. So weigh the advantage and disadvantage. It's really inexpensive. If you go to the Indian market, there's probably like 20 different kinds of spice mixes that you can just pick up and use, and they're great for convenience if you like the flavor and if you like the mixture that they have. Here's our onions. Again, anytime we can use garlic and onions, it's going to be the best thing we can do for our health. Now, a lot of these flavors, just be aware that I've cooked this stuff the way that I like it. I've put it in the proportions that I like the flavor. So for instance, I told you I don't like a lot of salt, so probably it might not be salty enough for some of you. I don't like it super hot and spicy, so maybe it's not hot and spicy enough for you. Maybe it's got too much curry for you. So the cool thing about this food and my recipes is I'll give you a base to start out with, and then you can adjust it according to your taste. You can put more or less spicy in it, more or less sweet, more or less salt. You can adjust it how you want. And one of the important things about learning how to live a healthy lifestyle is not being afraid to experiment in the kitchen, okay? If you have a base recipe, just think, do I like the way this tastes? What does it need? Does it need more salt? Does it need more sweet? Does it need a little bit more tart? And just give yourself permission to experiment a little bit. When I was learning how to do this new diet and this new lifestyle, I ruined a few things. I was trying out new things and I ruined a few things. And at the time, I just thought, geez, what a waste. I just wasted that food. I just wasted that money. I just wasted that time. And I remember being really frustrated with myself. But what did I learn? I learned what flavors do what. I learned how to not do it. And I learned how to do it better next time. And usually if I ruin something, I only ruin it once and then it turns out great the next time. So give yourself permission just to try stuff out. Otherwise, for a long time, I was just too scared to try new stuff. I didn't want to try anything new because I'm like, what if I don't like it? What if I mess it up? Give yourself permission to try new things, to try new flavors. Some of these tastes are acquired tastes, and that's okay too. You've trained yourself, you've trained your taste buds to eat a certain way and to like certain flavors, and it's okay to try new things and just give yourself permission just to experiment, try new stuff, and learn something new. And the only way you can do that is experimenting a little bit, okay? All right, so I'll show you how easy these little spice mixes are. They're amazing. All I did was caramelize the onions like I told you before. This is the lentils or the dal. I just put some water in it. Like on the back of the box, it tells you how to do it. It says put 1 cup of lentils to 3.5 cups water. I just boiled that for like 5 minutes. The cool thing about lentils is they cook really fast. So if you need a really fast meal, this is the way to go. And then I'm going to put in a little, I'm going to put in the spice. So it's 1 tablespoon of this spice mix I'm going to throw in with the onions. Now, if you don't like this flavor, there's lots of different flavor combinations you can try. Indian food is awesome for trying, you know, for combining with beans like garbanzo beans, kidney beans, lentils. You can do lots of really amazing vegetarian, healthy dishes. And again, I used coconut oil in here. And then we're going to throw in the tomato. And the little bit of acid from the tomato will also help to bring out the flavor in the spice. So then we just cook this down a little bit for maybe 5 minutes until it makes kind of a paste out of the onions and the tomatoes and the spice. Can you smell that? Smells good. Did you guys like the sample? How'd you like it? Okay, cool. And again, all of these, if in my grab and go class where I taught you how to make really quick meals, like if you just had a little while to cook, it's so easy to cook a big pot of brown rice. And I like brown basmati rice because it's got that yummy kind of sweet popcorny flavor to it. At the beginning of the week, cook a big pot of brown rice, stick it in your fridge, and then during the week, for breakfast, you just pull out a little rice, warm it up with some almond milk or something. You've got a nice porridge with some raisins in it. For lunch, you warm it up and put it with some dal or some Indian food or some other kind of sauce. You can warm it up for dinner, for a stir fry, throw some vegetables in there. And brown rice takes 45 minutes to cook, so most of the time if you're on a busy schedule, you just don't have that kind of time. If you cook it ahead of time, a big pot, it's a matter of throwing it into a pan, adding some vegetables or a sauce that you've already made in advance, and then seriously, it's a 10-15 minute meal if you've got a little bit of advanced preparation. So instead of cooking rice for 45 minutes 5 times a week, you just cook it once a week and you've got it ready. All right, so that's gotten nice and mixed in there. We're just going to throw in the pre-cooked lentils. Stir this baby up. Now, if I'm following the recipe on the back of the box, which I never really strictly follow any recipe when I'm cooking, I always take it as a general guideline, not necessarily a strict recipe. So after adding this in, that's really all it called for. And for me, it didn't have the richness of texture that I liked, so I just decided to put in a little tiny bit of tomato paste. You could do tomato sauce, tomato paste, a little bit of extra vegetables, or a little coconut milk, something. And what that does is it just adds a little bit of extra richness to it that brings all the flavors together for me. If you don't like the tomato paste, so when I was testing this recipe out on people, some people didn't like the tomato paste, and so that's okay. You don't have to add tomato paste. You can just leave it out. And then serve this with rice and some greens, and you've got a really nutrient-dense, power-packed, filling, flavorful meal. Pretty easy, right? And it only takes a few minutes to make it. Ta-da! Any questions about the lentils? And you can substitute. You don't have to use the pink lentils that I used. You can substitute any kind of lentils, any kind of beans. And it can be canned beans, fresh beans, whatever you want. And makes it pretty simple. Also, that a lot of health food stores have, if they don't have the mixes, they definitely have the spices individually, so you can do that.